Unsociable Tigers is our first item for the watch list.
Yeah, it was at the game Saturday night, and what an incredible game it was. I mean, they are an incredible team, Richmond. It was awesome to watch them play. But I did notice something that I don't think we've seen yet in 2020, and that was the old unsociable Tigers. I think as they were labelled last year, they were a team that they played on the edge, they played physical, and I reckon they pushed the envelope too at times. And there was a bit going on. There was a bit going on off the ball, and as you do when you're the champs, you probably get away with a little bit. And I reckon if you look back at that game, they got away with a fair bit, a few free kicks and a few moments. But I suppose that's what happens when you're the champs. And there's a fine line, I think, between pushing the envelope and going too far. And there were just a couple of incidents in the game that caught my attention at the time that I went back and had a look at. And I want to show you the vision because there is a fine line between pushing the envelope and potentially going too far. And I saw a move that I'm not sure we really want to see in our game. And Kingy, I know you're big on this, and these are the hits off the ball. And I just want you to take a look at this. This is at a centre bounce, right? Nothing came of that.
That's a free kick.
There was no free kick or anything come from this one. Now, this one, I must admit, then Tom Lynch has been given a $2,000 sanction for this rough conduct. But again, look at the ball. This is 80 metres away, and these blokes are getting nailed off the footy. And I mean, look at the room that Jack Riewoldt gets because of that, and that one got. But geez,
that's a free kick every day of the week. That's not a block. That's too much of a block.
The umpires were right there. And I don't know,
Did they see them both and let them go?
They didn't see the first one, which was interesting in itself. There's 3 umpires on the field. All 3 of the umpires, because I went back and had a look, were watching the centre bounce. So no umpire actually watches what happens behind the play. But that second one, the umpire was staring straight at that and let it go at the time. Now, Michael Christian picked up on it afterwards and he got $2,000. But I know you're big on that sort of stuff, King. What are your thoughts when you say that?
Yeah, the umpire put his hand up as if to say, no, that's okay. That's part of it. Okay. So there are blocking mechanisms and there are basketball tactics, if you like, put a screen on, but they're not done with such vigour. I don't think that's ever been part of our game, to be honest, particularly when a defender's eye is off the ball. It was done with an aggression and an anger to almost take the player to ground. I think that's overs. And I think when we look at these things in isolation, they can look really poor. I get that is considered still a football move. I just wonder what's in play and what's off ball. If it's a centre bounce and you're in the goal square, is that considered in play?
Yes.
It is?
Yeah. Well,
so you couldn't be further away from the ball, could you?
That's a free kick, isn't it? Everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah. That has to be. That has to be ruled.
So they're in play because they're running. Okay. In play was sort of jumbled a little bit when Barry Hall said, "I'm in play." In fact, he was because he was leading. So they're trying to block for it. They're playing the game. So in play is not. They're actually playing. So that's a free kick. The AFL has actually got to come down pretty heavy on that, I think.
So is that more than a free kick? Is what I'm getting to.
A reportable offence.
Well, one was reported. Lynch was fined $2,000. But this is a bargain at $2,000 because you've got a free forward, free marking target in the complete drop zone. Like Jack, if you gave Jack a run at 10 balls in a row unopposed, you're going to mark 7 of them.
Unduly rough play, you reckon?
Well, I think I do, yeah. I mean, I just don't think that's what we want. And you're talking about the feeder competitions. You've got to talk about everything. Yeah. Do you want this everywhere you go? Do you want to see this at different levels? And
no, we don't. We don't. So the AFL got an issue on their hands.
And Ben Rutten put it on the agenda, didn't he? After the treatment of Zach Merritt, there was some incidents off the ball that I think weren't as physical as those ones with Darcy Tucker, and he copped a $3,000 fine, didn't he, for checking the player's run? Where, to me, I'll tell you what, Brisbane. I mean, I don't know if Harris Andrews is going to accept that if that was to happen to him on Friday night.
So where does it spin us for Friday night?
Well, that's where I go to straight away. I mean, these two have built up a little rivalry. I mean, the Lions have got owned for 5-6 years and responded really strong last year. There was no Tom Lynch in that game. So he's the wild card we're talking about. Coming back in, the difference between having 2 bona fide pillars as to 1 is huge. So, what happens if they do that to Harris Andrews? OK, Dimmer's put it on the table. We had the nightclub discussion last week. If that's the Yo-Yo nightclub, it's all on. Let's go. Because if someone takes one of your own down, you're meant to stick up for them. So to go back to that, I'm probably disappointed in Sam Taylor there. He's seen that whole thing unfold twice and hasn't responded.
Hasn't reacted.
So if that's Brisbane this week and that happens, what do you expect Brisbane to do? What does the rational football people think the Brisbane Lions should do? What do you think? If that happens this week, what do you think Harris Andrews should do?
There'll be action and retribution, one would imagine.
I'll ask you another question. What will Mitch Robinson do if he sees it? You know what he'd do? He'll run 60 yards.
So I think this is just a phone call to Damien. Say, OK, all right, we've seen it happen once, been sanctioned once. We don't want to see it again.
There's a fine line between unsociable behaviour and being you say tough, but
aggressive.
An aggressive team.
Yeah.
I mean, all the most premiership teams, the Kangaroos were an aggressive team. In the 90s, you go for the Brisbane Lions, you go most of the...
Yeah, absolutely.
The
You push
Hawks.
the envelope. You push the envelope.
You push the envelope, but they've got to be pulled back into line at times.
I've heard you talk about Essendon. When James Hird was dragged across the ground with the Kangaroos. And Robert Shaw, was it? Is that the story?
Robert Shaw got him in the rooms after the game and said that'll never happen to our captain ever again. And it was Essendon ended up beating the Kangaroos over a period of time because their mantra was, we have to get tougher than the Kangaroos. We're not going to stand for that.
So they've already had the Lynch Witherden pushing their head into the ground. They've already had that. So they've already had their moment, if you like. So this was seen to be part of just normal unsociable football, and we had a go at the Brisbane Lions for not standing up for their man on this occasion. So I think this game's going to be a fascination on Friday. This is really bubbling. You know?
Do you see an edge in the Lions this year that you hadn't seen previously or not? Have you seen it? We've all seen the Lions. I think there is, to be honest.
Oh, they're playing some great footy. I mean, you were going to present some numbers this week to
Well, they're
show.
contested ball numbers. They are a team that attack the footy and attack the man. Their contested ball numbers
are they better than last year, do you know?
I think they are.
Yeah,
I think they're less reliant on certain individuals. I mean, we're seeing it with no Lockie Neal. They're not relying on Charlie Cameron anymore.
No Berry.
No Berry. But it's just, I just want to put that on the watch list. It'll be fascinating Friday night if they try that again against the more seasoned Brisbane defence, whether they'll put up with that or whether there'll be a bit of spite in return.